The diehard Snyder fans suck. The diehard Gunn fans suck. Okay, they're the ones. And I know, like, people are like, oh, he's just fueling the fans. It's like, yeah, it does fuel the fans. He doesn't want people to be toxic about it. He's just trying to get something out there, and he's trying to market himself, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. He has no control. Just like when, like, George Lucas, there's nothing he could do to, like, make his fans act normal. Zack Snyder and Henry Cavill Superman. Oh boy, geez. Just when you think that everything's going to be nice and relaxed, we had a relaxed week. We had a pretty relaxed week, right? After the Peacemaker finale last week, we're going into this week. Things were kind of relaxed. Here comes Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder to post an image, and when he posts, I mean, it's funny because he's been on Instagram for about 3 weeks now, right? Maybe like just under a month. He's been posting, of course, images, beautiful images from the last photograph that he's shooting currently right now, his passion project. And I think a lot of us knew, like, oh man, if this guy ends up posting anything from his camera, which he's got a shit ton of photos from his movie sets, when he's gonna post something from DC, it's gonna just go freaking buck wild. And sure enough, yes it did. And today was one of those days where he decided, oh, you know what, I'm going to post this image right here. I'm going to post this image right here of Henry Cavill. And it's a beautiful image of Henry Cavill as Superman from BVS, behind the scenes. Henry Cavill is Superman from BVS, shot with my monochrome 50mm Noctilux. 3 weeks on Instagram. Thanks to everyone. Nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong there. There's absolutely nothing. And everybody's reacting perfectly normal to that. Right? No, of course not. Because we can't have nice things. When I saw this, I went, oh, that's cool. That's such a cool shot of him right there. First off, why is he not smiling? Just kidding. Just kidding, guys. Just kidding. The biggest thing that I think a lot of people were losing their shit about was the fact that it said Henry Cavill is Superman. Okay. And then, of course, naturally, you got people who are not a fan of this version of Superman or not a fan of Zack Snyder going like, no, he was. What are you talking? What are you doing, Zack? What are you doing? This is dumb. You can't do it. You're just making a statement. You got to realize something. And I've talked to the man himself in person, in private, and in public. Nicest guy in the world, Zack Snyder. Okay? Does he like to stir the pot a little bit? Absolutely. I mean, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Remember when he posted an image on Vero about Carla Gugino being his Catwoman and everybody lost their minds? I remember, this was around before the Snyder Cut came out, and this is when I was kind of in heavy conversation with him because, he was coming on the stream a lot and we were trying to get things, promoted. And I was just one of the outlets that he was using to promote, which is, it was great. So I remember when that whole thing came out and people started losing their minds, he even said that, oh yeah, because Carla Gugino was the voice of the Man, in the Man of Steel, the Kryptonian ship. She's the voice. So she was doing ADR for the Snyder Cut that they didn't record in the initial run, obviously. And, and then he saw that people were fan casting her as his Catwoman, which, yes, that's of course, that's still, I mean, she would have been perfect as Catwoman in the Snyderverse. And then he saw that and he was like, well, I'm gonna stir the pot a little bit. And then he posted the image, and of course that stirs the pot a little bit. So Zack is a little bit of a pot stirrer. He'll do that a little bit, but he's also the nicest guy in the world. I don't think this was no dig on anything when it comes to what James Gunn is doing or David Cornsweet or anything like that. I mean, for all we know, he just said Henry Cavill is Superman. You can say that about any one of the actors. Christopher Reeve is Superman. Okay, George Reeves is Superman. Brandon Routh is Superman. Dean Cain, prepare yourself, guys. He is Superman because I know a lot of people hate him. David Cornsweet is Superman. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with saying that. That is his Superman actor. He decided to post this beautiful image because it is a beautiful image, a monochrome image. The texture, the depth, everything about this image is absolutely gorgeous. Now, naturally, though, obviously we're going to have that fandom discourse that happens between diehard Gunn nuts and diehard Snyder nuts, which is always going to be the case. What I always like too, though, is like the snobbiness that you get out there. You know, like as if I mean, I love it when I see the snobbiness of like the diehard Snyder fans. They get all snobby, like look at these guys losing their minds about all this. I'm like, you guys lose your minds about James Gunn and his Superman in the DCU every fucking day. Stop it. I know there's like people that go like, oh, he knows what he's doing. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. To me, I'm like, I've been kind of thinking about that all day. Does he know what he's doing? Does he not? I mean, I know obviously he knows that it was going to stir the pot a little bit. It was going to blow up. But when it comes to the caption, I don't think he really gave it too much of a thought other than that's his Superman actor. And he always would say like, oh yeah, he is Superman, you know? And I think there's nothing wrong with that. Relax. Sadly, we're not going to get Bryan Singer posting, you know, Brandon Routh image and going like, Brandon Routh is Superman. We're not going to get that. We're not going to get that. We're not going to get Richard Donner doing that. We're not going to get, we're going to get Zack doing that. The diehard Snyder fans suck. The diehard Gunn fans suck. Okay, they're the ones. And I know, like people are like, oh, he's just fueling the fans. It's like, yeah, it does fuel the fans, but that's not his. That's not. He's not doing that. He doesn't want people to be toxic about it. Of course not. He's just trying to get something out there, and he's trying to market himself. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. He has no control. Just like when like George Lucas, he can't. There's nothing he could do to like make his fans act normal. Nobody's gonna act normal. That's just the way it is. I think everybody just gotta relax. I mean, it's just a beautiful image. Beautiful image that doesn't change anything, doesn't do anything. You know, there's nothing, you know, obviously it's gonna stir up like the diehard Snyder guys that are gonna be like, oh yeah, he's coming back. He's coming back to do it. Because you know, they don't want him, they don't care about his other things. And that's obvious. No matter what they say, they don't care. They would rather him do DC movies until he's 90 rather than doing his own original stuff. 100%. You know, I'm not saying it's all of them, but it's the loud ones definitely want to do that, want that. So